As with everything The Simpsons, the annual Halloween-themed Treehouse of Horror episodes have been running for a long, long time. In aid of delving into the series' yearly cavalcade of genre parodies, pop culture references, and gratuitous animated bloodletting, here's a definitive ranking of every Treehouse of Horror installment ever. Episodes are ranked from worst to best according to an unfailingly Frink-esque scientific system. So if you disagree, then please refer to the professor's admonition. You won't enjoy it on as many levels as I do. Treehouse of Horror XXI Season 23. It's probably not a great sign when the abbreviated cold open is the best part of a Treehouse of Horror, but the 127 hours, 2010, manner in which Homer, spiriting off the kids' Halloween candy, thanks to that switch bullcrap, is trapped under a boulder and chews through all four limbs to get to his purloined treats. The segment ends with a nihilistic, Bart-driven twist worthy of one of those Jim Thompson-esque, nobody wins desert scenarios that is impressively dark. But things go down hard from there. Raise your hand if you were clamoring for a Simpsonized take on the touching and completely non-horror-related The Diving Bell and the Butterfly 2007, centered on Homer, paralyzed in this sequence, only being able to communicate through farts. Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on you. The mid-segment switched to a Spider-Man parody, but, keeping the whole fart motif does nothing to redeem things. The scene where Ned Flanders becomes a murderer starts out fainting toward a taxi driver, 1976, riff, then switches to Dexter, before God shows up to kill Homer for tricking Ned into killing Homer's enemies, thanks to a speaker gimmick Bible. Follow that? The episode concludes with yet another Avatar 2008 parody, only with 10-year-old Bart having deceptive and copiously procreative sex with a Rigelian named Kamala. Yeah, you. The whole Avatar thing had been done to death, even then. And while there are a couple of amusing embellishments, I like the planet-defending pterodactyls dropping eggs filled with piranhas. Lines like Bart's, "How dare you betray the planet I got laid on?" And Bart's mate revealing she got space warts from sleeping with a traitorous Milhouse are enough to make one space barf. Treehouse of Horror X Season 11. The 10th anniversary of the Treehouse of Horror franchise sees this once inventive goof of a yearly premise succumb to slapdash laziness so fast it's unnerving. The cracks started to show in the previous season's shaky outing, but the three stories here feel less like a chance for the writers to air out some great ideas that wouldn't fit into the series' already elastic continuity, and more like an exercise in cynical formula and terribly aged topicality. Plus, the commitment to the horror part of Treehouse of Horror is essentially tossed out the window, as two of the three stories contain no horror elements at all, while the first simply slams two horror premises together and calls it a day. The Ned Flanders-centered riff on "I Know What You Did Last Summer," 1997, at least rustles up a little tension as the supposedly run-over and dead Ned stalks the family down a lonely lane. But the swerve into a werewolf story is basically just the show hitting the eject button on a story with no center. Plus, here and throughout, the show is all about breezy cruelty, with Marge being the primary victim of character drift as soon as a given story needs her to do something uncharacteristic. "Please be a dog," she pleads after running over Flanders on one of his nightly fog walks. Treehouse of Horror 18-inch, Season 19. Seriously, though, don't mess with Treehouse of Horror. At least that's Marge's lesson as the logos for all the Fox programming that caused this installment to. Once more, you shun it into the first week in November are turned into meatloaf for the cold open. The long-incoming E.D. the Extraterrestrial, 1982, parody has Kodos popping up in the Simpsons' backyard, being befriended by Bart, and dropping far too many hints that she's not a harmless visitor from the stars. Her name's Kodos the Destroyer, for crying out loud. In a rushed conclusion, Bart finds out the truth, the military wipes out the invading aliens with ease, and Homer smothers the captive Kodos with a pillow. If there's a real laugh to be found, I didn't. Same goes for much of the parody of the decidedly non-horror movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2005, which exists.